Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. You're watching USS TV. We're at our Somali Youth Solution event at the Africa Centre in Harper Garden, and we're honoured to have the BBC Africa editor and author of new book Getting Somalia Wrong, Mary Harper. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the experience that you've had with the Somali community.
Yeah, I've spent the past 20 years reporting on Somalia and visiting the territories several times. So I feel that I have seen it go through well, it's a very difficult stage of its history. But also, every time I go there, I see, of course I see horrible and tragic things happening, but I also see amazingly positive things. Despite all the odds, Somalis are so resilient and so resourceful, and I think that's what the story I've been trying to tell in my book, is that of course there are lots of bad things about Somalia and lots of sad things, but there is another side to the story, and I wish that more people knew about that.
Now, as a journalist, you have mentioned that sometimes you may be handed stories about pirates and you're asked to cover them, or to focus a little bit on the negative aspect of Somali territories. Yeah. How have you tried to kind of challenge that? Obviously, with the writing of your book now, that's one aspect, but just working in print media.
Yeah, of course, you have a responsibility as a journalist to cover the news, and unfortunately, you often have to cover the bad news. And I think if you didn't do that, you'd be irresponsible, you wouldn't be doing your job properly. But I do find with Somalia, if a ship is hijacked or there's something to do with Al-Shabaab, which is now seen as a sort of offshoot or part of Al-Qaeda, that's what the BBC or other news organisations, that's the story they want to tell, or about the famine. So sometimes I do say now, like, I've done enough pirate stories, I've got nothing else to say. And actually there's this amazing story, like Somalia exports more live animals than any other country in the world. Or like I just heard tonight, that Mogadishu University is actually one of the better universities in the whole of Africa. So I do try, to the best of my ability, to tell my editors and my bosses that there are other things to tell about Somalia, and sometimes I succeed and other times I fail, but I do try to do that.
Now, with the London conference on Somalia, we've obviously seen an unprecedented amount of media attention and attention from the international community, which in my lifetime I've never witnessed. How do you think that as a Somali youth that we can take a hold of this opportunity to really raise our voices?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that in the meetings that were organised ahead of the conference, that's when I started to hear the voices of the Somali youth. And I thought actually they're the ones who are speaking more sense than anyone else, because they're not obsessed with the problems of the past, they're not totally locked into these clan issues. You know, they're talking about reconciliation, they're trying to remind people that there's, what about the displaced people, what about the humanitarian needs? They were the only people even talking about that. So I hope that there will be some way that the young people of Somalia will maybe even be given some kind of position in the new authority structures. Like, the idea is that there'll be 30% women. What about young people who are the future? And I sort of think there should also probably be a place for diaspora people in the future of the territory. How that's going to happen, I'm not sure.
Okay, as someone who has travelled extensively across different Somali regions, what would be your advice to the Somali diaspora, to our viewers?
Well, I would say to as many of you as possible, go back. Go somewhere that's safe. And in fact now, even this place called Mogadishu, that the media likes to refer to as the most dangerous city on earth, things have got much better there. I'd say, save your money and go for the summer holidays to somewhere in Somalia, Somaliland, Puntland, wherever, and you will see that there's loads of opportunities for you there. There's loads that you can offer with your skills, and there's also a lot you can learn from people on the ground in Somalia. So I just think that if the diaspora and the people that have stayed at home can sort of get the best things about each other, that is going to be the way that Somalia is going to emerge from these terrible times. And who knows, it might be the Dubai of Africa for all you know, because Somalis are brilliant at business, they have incredibly efficient financial networks. So I think the future could be amazingly bright for Somalia.
So you've heard it here first, Somalia, the hidden gem of Africa. So make sure you go back home. Thank you so much, Mary. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.